Imagine this. It's 2008, and Elon Musk's company SpaceX is preparing to launch its very first rocket, the Falcon 1, into space. At the time, the space industry was dominated by government agencies like NASA, Roscosmos, and the European Space Agency. The idea that a private company could compete in this arena seemed like a dream. Space travel was the domain of billion-dollar budgets and years of meticulous planning. But SpaceX was different. They had a vision that space could be cheaper, more accessible and more frequent. Their first attempt at launching Falcon 1 was far from smooth, an explosion on the launch pad. But they didn't give up. They kept going, improving their designs, learning from failure, and pushing toward what they knew could change the space industry forever. Fast forward to today, and SpaceX just completed its 450th successful Falcon 9 launch, a rocket that has become the symbol of the company's remarkable ascent. Think about that for a second. 450 launches, that's 450 missions that have carried satellites into orbit, delivered cargo to the International Space Station, and even launched astronauts into space. But it's more than just a number. It's the proof that SpaceX has radically transformed the way we access space. Now, I know what you're probably thinking. What's so special about a single rocket reaching a milestone? Why does hitting 450 launches matter in the grand scheme of things? Well, the impact is far greater than simply reaching a milestone on a timeline. The Falcon 9 is not just any rocket. It's a revolutionary piece of technology that has changed the entire space industry, and its 450th launch signals a new chapter in space exploration. To understand why this is such a big deal, we need to go back and look at how SpaceX did it and why it matters to the future of space travel. To start, SpaceX's key innovation with the Falcon 9 has been reusability. Before SpaceX came along, space missions were expensive, with each rocket being discarded after a single use. Imagine paying for an airplane, using it once, and then throwing it away. That was the state of space travel for decades. Every time a rocket launched, hundreds of millions of dollars were spent, only to have the rocket burn up on re-entry or fall into the ocean. This was unsustainable, both financially and logistically. Space agencies like NASA and the European Space Agency were constrained by budgets and had to operate with limited one-time use rockets. SpaceX changed all that. The Falcon 9 was designed with reusability in mind. The first stage of the rocket, the booster, could return to Earth after a launch, land vertically and be reused. This was an unprecedented concept in the space industry. In fact, many experts were skeptical about whether it could be done. The idea of landing a rocket after a mission seemed almost laughable to some, given the extreme conditions rockets endure during launch and re-entry. Yet in December 2015, SpaceX made history by successfully landing the Falcon 9 booster on a drone ship in the Atlantic Ocean after it had launched a satellite into orbit. This was a game-changer. It marked the first time in history that a rocket stage had been successfully returned to Earth and landed after a mission. But SpaceX didn't stop there. They proved the process could be repeated. In fact, after that first successful landing, SpaceX quickly demonstrated that they could refurbish and reuse rockets with impressive efficiency. Today, a single Falcon 9 booster can be flown up to 10 times with minimal refurbishment between flights. This innovation alone has revolutionized space travel by drastically reducing the cost of launching a rocket. Think about it this way. Before Falcon 9, it cost over $450 million for a single launch of a traditional expendable rocket. With Falcon 9, the price per launch has dropped to as low as $62 million, almost 10 times cheaper. This reduction in cost is one of the main reasons why SpaceX is changing the game. Not only can more payloads be sent into space, but private companies and even small nations can now afford to explore the final frontier. But the 450th launch isn't just about saving money. It's also about reliability and routine. The Falcon 9 booster has become the most reliable rocket stage in history, with an astounding success rate. As of the 450th launch, the Falcon 9 has a success rate of over 98%, meaning nearly every single mission has gone off without a hitch. For a rocket to achieve this level of consistency and dependability is nothing short of remarkable. It's something that had never been achieved before by any rocket system in the history of space exploration. SpaceX has built a fleet of rockets that are not only reusable but also reliable, making space travel routine and predictable. Think about this. Just a few decades ago, launching a satellite or cargo into orbit was a rare and highly complex event. Each mission required months or even years of preparation. SpaceX's 450 launches are a testament to how far we've come. Today, Falcon 9 rockets are launching multiple times per month, with SpaceX routinely carrying out missions for both private and governmental clients. From launching communications satellites that provide internet to remote parts of the world, to delivering cargo to the International Space Station for NASA, to even transporting astronauts aboard Crew Dragon spacecraft, Falcon 9 is now the backbone of global spaceflight. But the 450th launch also represents something even more profound: the democratization of space. SpaceX's reusability and cost-effective launch services have paved the way for commercial companies to venture into space. SpaceX has launched more satellites into orbit than any other company in history, with mega constellations like Starlink transforming how we think about connectivity. Countries that once could only dream of sending missions to space can now partner with SpaceX to send their payloads into orbit. Even small startups are now able to afford space missions that were once out of reach. And let's not forget the human aspect. This 450th launch also marks the routine transportation of astronauts to and from the International Space Station. The Crew Dragon, launched atop a Falcon 9, has become the workhorse of human spaceflight, ferrying astronauts to the ISS with a level of regularity we've never seen before. The ability to regularly send astronauts to space for science, research, and future exploration is a monumental achievement in itself. SpaceX is now quite literally the future of human space exploration. Every great journey starts with a few brave explorers. Right now, Cosmic Whispers is just beginning, and your support means everything. If you enjoy unraveling the mysteries of the universe, hit subscribe. It's free, and it helps us grow this community together. The 450th launch isn't just a number. It's a signpost on the road to a new era of space exploration. It signifies that space is no longer just for governments or super-rich billionaires, it's for everyone. As SpaceX continues to refine its technology, lowering costs and increasing reliability, we are entering an era where space missions could become as routine as flying across the globe. The Falcon 9's legacy will be remembered as the catalyst that made space travel possible for the masses. Let's take a moment to reflect on one of the most revolutionary aspects of SpaceX's Falcon 9, its reusability. Before Falcon 9, the idea of reusing a rocket was nothing short of science fiction. Imagine this. Every time a rocket launched, it was like throwing away a brand new car after just one trip. Every launch was an immense waste of resources, and the cost of rebuilding a new rocket for every mission drove the price of space travel into the stratosphere. A single launch could cost upwards of $450 million, and that was only for the rocket itself. Add to that the cost of the payload, the operations, and the personnel involved, and you're talking about a massive financial commitment. Now, let's rewind to 2015. SpaceX made history by landing its first Falcon 9 first-stage booster on a drone ship in the Atlantic Ocean. That moment wasn't just another engineering feat. It was a signal to the world that space travel was about to change forever. Imagine the moment. You're watching a rocket soar through the sky, accomplishing its mission, and then seconds later it returns to Earth, gliding gracefully down for a soft landing. It felt like watching something out of a science fiction movie, and yet it was very much real. This was the dawn of the reusable rocket age. That successful landing was not a one-off event. In fact, SpaceX didn't just land a rocket and call it a day. They set out to prove that rockets could be reused time and time again. The team at SpaceX developed a meticulous process for inspecting, refurbishing, and relaunching their rockets, with minimal turnaround time. This was crucial. Each rocket had to be capable of surviving the extreme conditions of re-entry, then be thoroughly checked, cleaned, and repaired, if necessary, before its next mission. The stakes were high, and Every successful reflight made the dream of reusable rockets a more attainable reality. By 2017, SpaceX had successfully launched and landed the same Falcon 9 booster twice, then 3 times, then 4 times. The reusability of the Falcon 9 not only proved that rockets could be reused, something previously thought impossible, it also drastically reduced the cost of space missions. A typical Falcon 9 launch now costs between $62 million and $67 million, depending on the specifics of the mission. While that may still sound like a lot of money, it's a dramatic reduction compared to the hundreds of millions of dollars required for expendable rockets. And the cost of reusability doesn't stop at just the booster. SpaceX's ability to reuse not only the first stage, but also the fairings, the nose cone that protects the payload during launch, further slashes costs. These fairings are recovered from the ocean and refurbished for future flights, saving the company millions per mission. But why does all of this matter? Well, let's break it down. First, consider the scale of what SpaceX is doing. The Falcon 9 is used for a huge variety of missions: satellite launches, cargo resupply missions to the International Space Station, and more recently, crewed missions to space. SpaceX has flown over 100 of these missions, launching satellites for both commercial clients and governments, including high-profile clients like NASA, NASA's commercial partners, and even the US military. These launches, once confined to the exclusive realm of a few select players in the space industry, are now available to a much broader range of clients. Smaller nations, private companies, and startups are now able to send their technology into orbit for a fraction of the cost, opening up entirely new possibilities for innovation and exploration. And let's not forget the environmental aspect. Reusability is not just a financial game-changer, it's also an environmental one. Rockets are typically made from materials like aluminum and titanium, which are incredibly resource-intensive to manufacture. The traditional approach of discarding rockets after every launch meant that these materials were effectively wasted. By reusing rockets, SpaceX is helping to reduce the environmental footprint of space travel, making the industry more sustainable in the long run. Of course, this is just the beginning. As SpaceX moves forward with more advanced reusability programs and incorporates technologies like fully reusable Starship vehicles, the potential environmental impact could be even greater. But the real question is, how does this impact the future? Well, let's take a peek into the future of space exploration. The Falcon 9 is a stepping stone, an essential one, but SpaceX's ultimate goal is far more ambitious. Enter Starship. Starship is SpaceX's next-generation spacecraft, designed to carry humans to Mars and beyond. While the Falcon 9 revolutionized the way we get to low Earth orbit, Starship aims to revolutionize interplanetary travel. It's fully reusable, much larger than the Falcon 9, and designed to carry both crew and cargo to distant destinations. The success of Falcon 9's reusability is the foundation that will allow Starship to reach its full potential. Without the lessons learned from reusing Falcon 9 boosters, Starship would never have been possible. Imagine a future where human colonization of Mars is no longer a far-off dream, but an achievable goal. SpaceX's reusability revolution is the key to making that dream a reality. And we're just getting started. Now let's zoom in on some of the specific missions Falcon 9 has been used for. Over the years, Falcon 9 has launched thousands of satellites into orbit, many of which are part of large-scale projects like the Starlink constellation. Starlink is SpaceX's ambitious plan to provide high-speed internet to every corner of the world by deploying thousands of small satellites into low Earth orbit. This requires a reliable and cost-effective rocket system, which is exactly what Falcon 9 provides. The success of the Starlink mission shows the power of reusability. Falcon 9 can consistently and reliably send dozens of satellites into orbit, enabling SpaceX to build and maintain this global network. Then there's the crewed missions to the International Space Station. The Crew Dragon spacecraft, launched atop Falcon 9, is now NASA's go-to spacecraft for ferrying astronauts to and from the ISS. This marked a historic shift from government-controlled space programs to private companies leading human spaceflight missions. In 2020, SpaceX made history by sending 2 NASA astronauts to the ISS, the first time a private company had sent astronauts to the station. The reliability and cost-effectiveness of Falcon 9 made this possible, demonstrating just how far the industry has come in such a short period. So whether it's enabling global internet coverage, conducting crucial scientific research on the ISS, or laying the groundwork for humanity's future on Mars, the impact of Falcon 9 and its reusability cannot be overstated. But here's something to think about. If SpaceX's success with Falcon 9 has taught us anything, it's that we're on the cusp of something even greater. What comes after reusability? What happens when we push the boundaries even further? When we think about the past, space was once the domain of a few superpower nations. Think the United States, Russia, and a handful of European countries. AE. Rocket launch wasn't just a national event, it was a geopolitical statement. The race to space was marked by fierce competition, technological breakthroughs, and a drive to show who was the biggest player on the global stage. But in the last decade, something radical has happened. The private sector has entered the race in full force, and SpaceX, with its Falcon 9, has opened the floodgates for a new era of space exploration. It's easy to see why this is a big deal. Imagine the world as a giant playing field, where only a few select players were allowed to participate. Only governments had the power, the technology, and the money to send anything into orbit. And then along comes SpaceX, with its radically cheaper, reusable Falcon 9, offering private companies, smaller nations, and even non-profit organizations the chance to be part of space. This is the democratization of space in real time, and the 450th launch is not just a milestone for SpaceX. It's a milestone for everyone who has ever dreamed of seeing their satellite, payload, or even a crewed mission launched into space. But the impact of SpaceX's success goes beyond the technical and financial aspects. The Falcon 9 has enabled a wave of innovation that was previously unthinkable. Take the growing constellation of small satellites, many of them launched by private companies, that are now revolutionizing industries ranging from telecommunications to Earth observation to global internet connectivity. SpaceX has made this possible by offering regular, affordable, and reliable access to space. This is more than just a few rocket launches, it's the beginning of an entirely new economic ecosystem in space. Let's dive deeper into this. One of the biggest success stories for SpaceX has been its partnership with commercial companies and even foreign governments to send payloads into orbit. Historically, satellite launches were reserved for governments or major aerospace companies with multi-million-dollar budgets. But SpaceX has drastically reduced the cost of launching satellites, making space more accessible to a broader range of organizations. Whether it's an emerging tech company needing to send up a communication satellite or a small nation looking to launch their first satellite into orbit, Falcon 9's lower price tag makes it possible. Today, SpaceX has launched thousands of small satellites for various clients, including massive global projects like the Starlink constellation. And this is just the beginning. Take the example of Starlink, SpaceX's ambitious plan to provide global internet coverage through a network of low Earth orbit (LEO) satellites. By the end of 2025, SpaceX hopes to have launched tens of thousands of Starlink satellites into orbit, creating a high-speed internet network that spans the entire planet. This is no small feat. A network like this requires constant launches, which means SpaceX's Falcon 9 has been the backbone of the project. In fact, each Falcon 9 launch now often carries 60 or more Starlink satellites. In less than 5 years, SpaceX has become the world's largest satellite operator, and it's all thanks to the cost-effectiveness and reliability of the Falcon 9. But here's the thing. The impact isn't just financial or technological, it's also social. Think about the places where access to reliable internet is a luxury, or where traditional infrastructure like fiber optic cables is simply not feasible. In parts of rural Africa, remote regions of Asia, or even the vast expanses of the Pacific, ocean Starlink could provide a lifeline, a way for people to access information, connect with others, and even start businesses. This is a huge shift in how we think about global connectivity, and it wouldn't be possible without Falcon 9 and SpaceX's ability to provide regular and cost-effective access to space. It's not just a financial revolution, it's a social one. And then there's the environmental side of things. The ability to launch hundreds, even thousands, of satellites at a fraction of the cost of traditional methods has made space a much more attractive option for Earth observation and environmental monitoring. Imagine being able to track climate change in real time, monitor deforestation, or predict natural disasters with unprecedented precision, all thanks to a new generation of satellites. This is where Falcon 9's reliability comes into play. It's not just about getting a satellite into orbit, it's about making space accessible enough that the kind of global monitoring we need to address challenges like climate change and environmental degradation is within reach. In a sense, SpaceX has opened the door to using space as a tool for solving Earthbound problems. Now let's zoom out and think even bigger. The 450th Falcon 9 launch isn't just a victory for SpaceX, it's a crucial milestone in the broader space industry's push towards sustainability. Reusability has paved the way for an entirely new business model, where rockets are no longer one-time use items, but assets that can be recovered, refurbished, and reused. This is key for the future of space exploration, whether we're talking about sending more satellites into orbit, establishing permanent colonies on the Moon, or even reaching Mars. SpaceX's success with Falcon 9 is setting the standard for the rest of the industry. Other companies like Blue Origin, Rocket Lab, and even traditional aerospace giants like Boeing and Lockheed Martin are now racing to catch up with SpaceX's reusability. But even more importantly, Falcon 9's track record has created a new space economy, where the cost of entering the field is much lower and the potential for growth is massive. But the global impact of Falcon 9 goes beyond just making space more accessible for commercial ventures. It's also about fostering international collaboration. Take, for example, SpaceX's partnership with NASA. SpaceX's Crew Dragon spacecraft, launched atop the Falcon 9, has been instrumental in transporting astronauts to and from the International Space Station. The partnership between NASA and SpaceX represents a historic shift in the way space missions are conducted. NASA, once the sole player in crewed space missions, now relies on a private company to take astronauts to the ISS. This partnership has saved NASA millions of dollars in development costs and has provided more reliable, cost-effective transportation for astronauts. And here's something to consider. SpaceX's success has had a ripple effect across the entire space industry. By proving that a private company can launch rockets on a regular basis, SpaceX has inspired a new generation of entrepreneurs, engineers, and space enthusiasts to think big. Today, we're seeing an explosion of private companies, both large and small, venturing into space. Whether it's asteroid mining, lunar resource extraction, or the development of space tourism, SpaceX's influence is shaping the future of the space economy. The 450th Falcon 9 launch represents the beginning of an entirely new era, one where private companies, not just governments, are the key players in space exploration. Let's take a moment to look beyond the 450th launch, beyond the rockets, the boosters, and the satellites in orbit, and think about what's next. We've seen how SpaceX's Falcon 9 has revolutionized the space industry, but where does this journey take us in the future? As incredible as the 450th launch is, it's just the beginning of a much grander story. SpaceX's ultimate goal is nothing short of transforming humanity's place in the universe, and it's a vision that stretches far beyond Earth's orbit. Picture this. It's the year 2030, and SpaceX's Starship, a fully reusable spacecraft, has completed its first successful crewed mission to Mars. The ship is sleek, powerful, and capable of carrying hundreds of passengers. For the first time in human history, a group of astronauts sets foot on the red planet, marking the start of humanity's expansion into the cosmos. The possibility of colonizing other planets, of becoming a multi-planetary species, was once thought of as an impossible dream. Yet, thanks to the work of SpaceX and its relentless pursuit of innovation, this dream is beginning to take shape. But how did we get here? How did a small, scrappy company led by Elon Musk, The same guy who was once told by experts that sending a private rocket into space was a pipe dream managed to get us on the road to Mars. Well, it all starts with the Falcon 9. The Falcon 9's incredible success in reusability and cost reduction has laid the foundation for the next great leap in space exploration. You see, when SpaceX first launched its Falcon 9 rocket, it wasn't just thinking about launching satellites or resupplying the International Space Station. They were thinking about something far bigger: Mars. SpaceX knew that in order to make interplanetary travel a reality, they would need to master the art of reusable rocketry. And that's exactly what the Falcon 9 did. Because of the Falcon 9's success, SpaceX was able to generate the resources needed to develop Starship, an entirely new spacecraft designed to carry humans beyond Earth's orbit. But this wasn't just about building a better rocket. It was about creating the foundation for the future of humanity. The goal is simple: to make life multiplanetary. Mars is just the beginning, with the Moon, asteroids, and beyond all within the realm of possibility. Now, let's dive into what Starship will mean for the future of space exploration. Unlike the Falcon 9, which was designed primarily to serve as a workhorse for launching satellites and resupplying the ISS, Starship is designed for interplanetary travel. It's a fully reusable spacecraft that will not only transport cargo, but also carry crew to destinations like the Moon, Mars, and even beyond. Starship's size and capabilities are unmatched by any other spacecraft in existence. It's designed to be capable of carrying up to 100 passengers, along with all their supplies, across vast distances. One of the most exciting things about Starship is its potential to make space travel more accessible. The larger the spacecraft, the more cost-effective it becomes to carry out missions on a larger scale. Just like the Falcon 9 brought down the cost of low Earth orbit launches, Starship has the potential to lower the cost of interplanetary missions. But what truly sets Starship apart isn't just its size or its reusability. It's the fact that it could revolutionize how we think about space travel altogether. Think about this: the same technology that will take astronauts to Mars could one day be used to transport people to space hotels, lunar colonies, or even spaceports that serve as hubs for interstellar travel. Imagine boarding a spacecraft at a spaceport, much like you would board an airplane today. But instead of taking a flight across the globe, you're bound for the Moon or even Mars. That's the world that SpaceX is working to create. But SpaceX's plans aren't just about putting humans on other planets. They're about building a sustainable future for humanity, one that is no longer dependent on the limited resources of Earth. As we look to the future, space offers boundless opportunities. From asteroid mining, where we could harvest precious metals and resources that are running out on Earth, to solar energy collection in space, there's a future where space becomes an essential part of our everyday lives. The potential for growth is unimaginable, and Falcon 9's ability to reduce the cost of launching to space is helping to make it all possible. And what about the Moon? SpaceX has already been selected by NASA to play a key role in returning humans to the lunar surface under the Artemis program. In fact, Starship is currently being developed as the lunar lander that will carry astronauts to the Moon's surface in the coming years. This is no small feat. It's the next giant leap for mankind, and it's all happening because of the technology SpaceX has developed through its Falcon 9 rocket. The global impact of these missions cannot be overstated. Imagine a future where the Moon serves as a launchpad for missions to Mars, where a permanent colony on Mars becomes a stepping stone to exploring the farthest reaches of the solar system. In a sense, SpaceX's ambition is to turn the idea of space colonization from science fiction into reality. This isn't just about exploration, it's about survival. As humanity faces challenges like climate change, overpopulation, and resource depletion, having the ability to live on other planets offers us a new horizon, a new opportunity to ensure the long-term survival of the human race. But there's another layer to this story. SpaceX is changing how we think about space in ways that go beyond rockets and missions. They've inspired a new generation of space enthusiasts, engineers, scientists, dreamers, and innovators. The success of Falcon 9 has proven that even The most audacious goals are achievable with vision, determination, and the willingness to push the boundaries of what's possible. And in turn, this new generation is now looking beyond the stars, imagining futures where space is a place we not only visit but live in. So as we look ahead to the future, we realize something profound. SpaceX's journey has only just begun. The 450th launch is just the start of a much larger story, one where humanity isn't just a single planet species, but a multi-planet species, looking to the stars as our new home. Whether it's Starship Mars or a new space economy that flourishes in the vacuum of space, one thing is clear: the road ahead is full of infinite possibilities, and it's all thanks to the vision, the ambition, and the relentless drive of SpaceX to make space travel routine, accessible, and sustainable. The question now is, what role will you play in this grand adventure? The journey to Mars, to the Moon, and beyond is happening right before our eyes, and with every launch, we are one step closer to making the impossible a reality. So what's next for SpaceX? The universe is waiting. If you're as excited about the future of space as we are, leave a comment below. What do you think will be SpaceX's next big milestone? And don't forget to like and share this video with fellow space enthusiasts. Let's continue to explore the cosmos together.